Monday Night Chat with Wong Chen.
Brought to you by the Member of Parliament for Kelana Jaya in collaboration with Invo.
Hi, welcome to Monday Night Chat. This week we're going to talk about the fake news bill, and also we're going to do the Q&A, pretty standard. This is episode 66. Hi, welcome to Policy Monday. Policy Monday this week we're going to talk about the fantastic anti-fake news bill. Okay? Well, we're shooting this on the Friday before the debate continues on Monday, which is when you're going to see this video. So by the time you see this video, there's a good likelihood that the bill would have passed. Whatever we do, however we vote, we're not likely to beat the government on the fake news bill. So let's just talk about fake news. What does it mean? What are the implications? Why are they pushing it through now? Now, let's just go to the big, broad issue first. Malaysia is a functional democracy. It's not a full democracy. There is no real freedom of expression in Malaysia. For instance, all the media is controlled by UMNO and Barisan Nasional related companies. There's a lot of sedition laws, a lot of printing press act, and all this kind of thing creates an environment where we don't really have freedom of expression. So when we talk about fake news, the main concession that is universally accepted around the world by human rights activists and also United Nations is the idea that people should have total freedom of expression, and with one exception. If you use that expression, that freedom, to disseminate hostility, violence and discrimination, then it must be curtailed. Yeah? So freedom of expression should be total and complete, except in the scenario where violence, discrimination and hostility results from it, in which case we need to curtail the freedom of expression for the greater good. So it is in that context that the fake news bill, which was pushed through in France and also in Germany and considered in Singapore and other places, is in that context that the social media, the modern world of technology, has allowed for the dissemination of information in very, very fast and very, very quick. Yeah? So democracies are looking at it. Dictatorships and semi-democracies like Malaysia are also looking at it. Okay? So let me just go straight in and tell you what is contained inside this blue color bill. This anti-fake news bill basically has four parts. Part one is the preliminary document, which is basically has the interpretation and definition of things like which minister is in charge. Well, the minister in charge of law, which is currently YB Azalina, who is under the Prime Minister Department. So ultimately, Najib Razak is in charge of this bill. Okay, so that's good to know. Second part about this part one preliminary documents, it tells you that it's extrajudicial. That means this law doesn't encompass only Malaysians only, or activities happening in Malaysia. It's outside. So for instance, if someone writes a fake news in Germany, this law extends to that as well. Yeah, so it's extraterritorial in its application. Now, part two talks about the offences. Very briefly, if you're found guilty, you have to pay 500,000 ringgit and or 6 years jail. Originally, it was 10 years jail. The minister probably had a bit of conscience maybe, and decided to scale it down to 6 years. Okay, so it's 500,000 or 6 years or both. Yeah, so you could be charged up to 500,000 and 6 years in jail. Part 3 talks about basically Part 3 is about the order to remove the publication. Basically, it talks about what the government can compel you to do. Basically, the Sessions Court and also the government can compel you to take down the document that you put up either on social media or in printing, in press or anything like that. And then part 4 is miscellaneous. Usually people don't read part 4, but part 4 is actually very important. In this particular part 4, they talk about the concept that fake news offences are seizable offence. Seizable offence is, well, different from non-seizable offence. Okay, most things are non-seizable offence, which means you have to ask the public prosecutor or the court to give you a warrant to carry out the arrest. In the fake news offences, the police can arrest you without getting any approval from the public prosecutor. Basically, the government thinks that fake news is as bad as murder and also robbery. Okay, and then the other one that is in the miscellaneous department is basically about cooperation. Corporations are not only humans. Corporations are also responsible where directors and ultimately directors and shareholders can be charged. Minister in charge, Minister of Law, have a power to amend the bill and regulations as and when it needs to be done. Yeah, so that's basically the 9 pages of anti-fake news bill. Is not very thick for a legislation. It looks a bit sparse in my opinion. Yeah. So what are the issues and questions that is pertinent to this issue about fake news? The very first question we have to ask is the definition of fake news. What is fake and what is news? In this context, news means everything. It's not just the typical newspaper or what you read on the internet as a news item. It is defined as data and information. Yeah? Partial data, partial information is also considered news. So this bill encompasses everything that you write. So it's not just news in the traditional context. Now, fake. Who's in charge of saying what is fake and what is not? It's not clear who is in charge of this, but one thing is clear: the minister can do things. Therefore, theoretically, Najib is in charge of what is fake and what is not fake. Well, judging by his record on 1MDB, he is the last person we want to be in charge of what is fake and not fake. Okay. The police, because they can arrest people, are therefore, without a warrant, also has some powers about what is fake and what is not fake. And lastly, the courts, Sessions Court, not the High Court, Sessions Court, for some strange reason, is in charge of what is fake or not fake, because if you are a victim of fake news, you could write to them and then ask for an order to take down that news item. So Sessions Court is in some ways in charge of what is fake and what not fake, right? Now, there are no provisions whatsoever on reinstating if the information that people allege to be fake turns out to be real news. There is no compensation, no provision about suing the government or anything like that. So basically it shows that the law that is being proposed is somewhat incomplete. Number 4, what happens in the scenario where the government is responsible for publishing fake news? Okay, and in Malaysia's context, I suppose 50% or even higher, some people may say that the news we read every day is fake from the government. So what do we do about that provision? Okay, so what is clear is this. This is a 9-page bill, 9-page law. It's not a lot. Yeah. In fact, about 2 pages is just documentation, like how to fill up a form. 2 to 3 pages. Yeah. So this law is very sparse. So when they present a sparse law to us, what does it tell us? 1, there was no committee set up to discuss this fake news. The civil Suhakam was not invited. The Bar Council was not. Opposition leaders are definitely not invited to discuss the bill before it's presented. So this bill looks very rushed. And I said earlier, there are no provisions for compensation and stuff. It shows that they just don't care, just slap it on and put it on. So when the government pushes a bill so fast, first tabled on Monday, debated on Thursday, it just tells you one thing: they want it done quickly and not substantially correct, full of holes. So there's only one explanation to all this. They want to use this to scare people, right? And to prepare and give them an advantage over the coming GE14. So that's basically the fake news bill. We can't stop it because they have more people than us. The best we can do is, we've got to, after the bill is passed, we've got to rethink how do we present fake news in the future without getting into trouble. That's it for Policy Monday this week. Okay, for Q&A this week, in 120 seconds, we've got Ashley, my intern, to assist me. Ashley, are you ready? Yeah. Let's go now. Okay, first question: what are my thoughts on Lim Kit Siang getting kicked out of Parliament? I was there during the big kerfuffle. Actually, Kit Siang, to be fair to him, he wasn't really taking a big part in the early arguments with the Speaker. It was mostly the other members of Parliament creating a big ruckus and argument with the Speaker. The Speaker, of course, behaved, I would say, unprofessionally and also very lopsided in most of his dealings of late. So Kit Siang was booted out. He was sentenced, he was basically suspended for 6 months. But the funny thing was, he stood there, and the speaker who threatened to bring in the police to remove him did not do so, because I suppose he felt shameful if the police have to drag Kit Siang out. So as it is, Kit Siang is suspended for 6 months. Number two, am I looking forward to my new constituency P104? Well, it's not certain whether I'm going to be the candidate for P104. I hope so. But I just want to say that without Sri Satya in there and bringing in Kinrara, Subang Jaya, we've been very comfortable being here with the community. We love to serve you. But for Kinrara, we are going to enter a new area. But one thing is certain, we are very close to YB Ng Zihan. He's done a fantastic job there. We in fact had a big gathering of officers. We both have a very professional attitude, so I look forward, if chosen to become the candidate, I look forward to work carefully and friendly and happily with Ng Zihan. Number three, poems. Poet. Who's my favorite poet? For Malaysia, Latif Muhyiddin. For others, Samuel T. Coleridge. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Okay. Now number four, China has 180 projects and 122 billion investment. What are our views? Well, every deal have to be carefully considered. Yeah, whatever that we've signed, we should honor it, most of it, 100%. Only thing is, when we go into anything that deals with national security, we have to relook the thing carefully, because we cannot ever, whether to sell to China, India, US, or whatever, to sell off our national security interests. That's it for Q&A this week.
Hi, I'm Ryan. Today is the last day of my internship, and it has been an internship that's really fruitful, and I didn't expect things to turn out this way, as I never thought that an internship here will be edifying and really something that brings growth to you. Boss has created a really good environment within the office. Boss and the previous staff and the current staff has created an environment that makes you teachable, an environment that's open for discourse, and an environment that has no BS or so what. I highly encourage anyone who's open to learning and anyone who's open to actually to know about politics, to know about economics, to know about law, in any area, be it even if you are studying a doctor degree or waiting for a housemanship, or even if you graduated with a degree in architecture or whatever, you're open to it, to learning and just being able to be exposed to different areas, not just politics within this office, but different areas of community work, of coming out with policy paper, coming with practical approach to social issues. I encourage you to come to try out this internship. Topics of discourse can vary from talking about religious freedom to how artificial intelligence is an issue of concern, from such thing to even to abortion or topic of feminism itself. It's really interesting. You get to learn a lot of things, and then if I would be able to put it in words of the things I've learned, it would be doing great injustice to what I've learned so far in these few months here. And I truly encourage you to come and enjoy and try out this internship. For my plans so far, my plans for the next semester break, after another year of economics back in Japan, I've tried out the corporate environment. I try out different various environments, and next break, perhaps if opportunity permits and situation permits, I plan to come back into working in this office again, and just coming up with ideas and just forming my foundation on the policy that I would take, as well as, if given the opportunity to, I would go perhaps into the area of teaching and just working with youth themselves. As for me, I've worked on policy paper on fake news, the fake news phenomenon within Malaysian society as well as the world. I've established an understanding that regulations and towards disinformation on social media, it's a good thing as well. In a society that's rampant with truth and facts that are uncertain, as well as information that are easily skewed, and data that's easily alter for the purpose of person who did the research or for the purpose of an agenda. So there is an actual need to regulate information. There's an actual need to be held for people to be held accountable for information they share and information they create, as long as but also with in mind that not foregoing the right to press freedom as well as the right to freedom of speech. This is what I've worked so far in general, as well as helping out with the office and just learning and growing here. So I highly encourage you to if you're interested in any field, let it be medicine or architecture or even animal rights. All this boils down to creating and curating policies that benefit the society and policies that tackle such problems. So I encourage you to come and try out this internship. Yeah, ciao for now.